There is no response.
Winch, come over here with more rum.
You won't get much out of those, except rum. There is... Keep your dirt. You need to keep a clear head. Besides, even the drips have a nose-curdling stench. You really shouldn't. The stuff smells extremely foul. As you gasp your last, you see writing on the barrel's underside, "Brewed in Spielberg." They don't look the type who'd dance, at least not with folks like yourself. They don't...
Winch!
Interesting proposition. Dangerous, but interesting. A loud bunch of seafarers swap yarns between swills of rum. It would seem they're getting ready to set sail. The sailors peer at you through bleary eyes and continue swilling their rum. One, who looks like the captain, pauses and drunkenly speaks to you.
Aye, me bucko, be ye wanting passage on me ship? What you running from? Oh, it's no matter, as long as you got gold. Let me see how much you got.
The drunken sea captain looks angry as he speaks again.
Don't ignore me, laddie. I asked you how much gold you got for passage on me ship. Too late, bucko. I ain't interested in you no more. Go pester someone else.
The sailors just ignore you. As you bring out the purse, the captain snatches it from your hand.
Aye, lad, I sees you do have a wee bit of gold. It's less than me regular fare, but I'll gives you passage anyways. We'll be waiting for you at the wharf, but not for long.
The captain and his men down their rum in one long draught, then leave the tavern. Perhaps you should try talking with the sea captain before giving him your gold.
Any news from abroad?
You talking about gossip? Don't get much in the way.
Sailor?
Sure.
Incredible.
That we get sailors.
No, that there aren't
You have nothing else to say to the barmaid at the moment. The seaman guarding the ship eyes you shiftily. You're no match for...
Hi, the captain said you'd be coming along. Get on board.
Nothing like a little bit of salt air to perk up a boy's spirits. You feel excited about the upcoming journey.
Ahoy there, me lad. Allow me to introduce myself. My name's Captain Blodlet. I'll be your host for this year voyage, or what you'll be remembering of it. Pretty flag, ain't it?
You're pirates?
Afraid so. We'll be showing you to your quarters now. Set course for the island.
Aye, Captain.
Cautiously, you look around the dank cargo hold. Among stacks of wooden crates, a rope ladder dangles partway through an opening above. This is part of the ship's steering mechanism. Hold that thought. It won't take orders from you. Maybe if you had sharper teeth. It won't take... Shaking the foundations won't help you. You have an aversion to mass splinters. You are in the dank cargo hold of the pirate ship. With caution, you look around the dim surroundings. Mostly, you see stacks of wooden crates. Looking upward, you notice a rope ladder dangling partway through an opening in the hold ceiling. The ladder is directly over the largest crate. Cautiously, you look... Cautiously. This is part of the Cautiously, you... This crate lies beneath the ladder. Cautiously, you... Stacks of wooden crates sit around the hold. Cautiously, the mast extends into the floor of the hold. Maybe if you had... Shaking the... You can't talk your way to the top. What a crate idea. The rungs to riches or ruin. There's a hole in your logic, dear Alex. Hold that thought. The opening leads onto the deck above. This hole isn't obtainable. This small box looks manageable. It's for picking up, not chatting up. A few weeks in isolation, and you'll have good cause to natter like a nitwit. Maybe. That's a crate load of good. That's a... Wishing to invite company? A few weeks in... Maybe. Most of these crates are too large to lift. The masts extend into the floor of the hold. Looking warily around the dank cargo hold, you see nothing but wooden crates piled about. There's an open grating above you. This small box... You've no business meddling with stolen property. Shaking them, you have an aversion to... You can't reach it. Too bad. You can't use that item. You cannot drop the wooden crate in that location. You cannot this small... You're not interested in what's inside those crates, and they're too heavy to move. It's too high to climb onto. The beds look incredibly hard and uncomfortable. No thank you. One whiff and you change your mind. Rows of hard, uninviting bunks line the walls of the crew's quarters. The crew's quarters don't look much more comfortable than your own miserable cot, and they're just as cramped. There isn't even a sheet clean enough to swipe. You don't want to bunk with anyone in here. Smells of weathered wood. The masts run through both ceiling and floor. They're too attached to the ship. There isn't even a... You don't need a lifeboat. The ship's not sinking. Don't count on it to save your life. After careful scrutiny, you determine that the lifeboat is both empty and uninteresting. A pair of oars crisscross one wall in this section of the ship. The oars would be useful if you were in a rowboat. Or what? Don't shout. You'll have every pirate here in seconds. This is where the lifeboats are stored. Doorways open at either end of the compartment. There's nothing that can help you here. There's nothing that... You wouldn't fit. Besides, why hurry back down? Only the rats can hear you. It's too dark to see below, but you know exactly what's down there anyway. This is where the lifeboats are stored. Doorways open at either end of the compartment. There's nothing that... Don't shout. You'll... Smells of weathered wood. The masts run... They're... A device for turning the ship's rudder is set into the floor. The ladder connects this deck to the main deck and hold. The mast continues through this deck. Sitting adjacent to the captain's quarters, this room houses the controls for the ship's rudder. A rope ladder extends from an opening above. Beyond the porthole, the ocean rises and falls, rises and falls, rises and falls. Sitting adjacent to the captain's... A device for turning... The ladder connects this deck to the... The ladder. The captain's bunk is neatly made. The captain keeps a lamp by his bedside. The captain's bunk is... The desktop is highly organized, with quills arranged in order of feather size. The chart traces the ship's route. You don't recognize the continents except the one you've just left. The shelves contain the captain's mini journals, a complete record of his crew's plunders and pillages. The rug adds a touch of hominess to the captain's quarters. The desktop is highly... The captain dutifully makes an entry in his log. The captain's cabin is clean and orderly. His bunk rests against one wall with a large chest at its foot. A chart is tacked to the wall behind his desk. The chest near the captain's bunk is closed. It's a feather duster, similar to the one you use to clean up the wizard's study. The captain's cabin is clean. The rug adds a touch. Through the doorway, you see endless ocean. The chart's not self-explanatory. You haven't been invited to invent a shanty. Better to turn the other cheek. The ocean swells, as does your stomach. You haven't been invited. Be careful, necks and ropes don't mix. You're neither a woodpecker nor a woodworm. Careful not to bump your head. You might not get up in the morning. You'd lap up little by licking lamps. The chart. You haven't been invited. You'd rather chew through books with happier endings. Smells of mold and mildew. Careful not. Smells of... It will not open to whims or words. Use it, but don't talk to it. You haven't been in... The blue infinite awaits. Captive's log, held against will on the high seas, company hostile, no women, escape necessary. But how? Don't ruin this writer's work. This might not be the best place to leave your mark. Why shimmy that when you have a perfectly good ladder? You could if you knew where you were. You should leave it shut. You're not one to read late. You have better things to do than lie around. You need only pass beneath the frame. It will serve you best if left where it is. You wouldn't mind reading up on the pirates' past exploits if you weren't one of them. You're not close enough. Better not. He's armed with something mightier than a sword. Better wait for that promotion before poking around the captain's quarters. Better wait for that.
We're nearing the island, Captain. Orders?
As soon as we drop anchor, we'll head for shore. The treasure's assuredly still there, waiting for me, us.
Do you think the map is accurate?
No reason to think otherwise. The last captain of the ship insisted the map was genuine. 'Twas the last thing he said before I ran him through.
What about our new passenger? You think he's up to the task?
Are ye questioning me judgment?
No, Captain. It's just that we can't be knowing if we can trust him.
You be thinking to make a run for it? Fat chance of that. It's a dangerous journey to the center of the island. Even if he made it that far, there's an impassable cliff face on the other side with a sheer drop to the ocean below. And if by some slim chance he managed to climb down, it's a mighty long swim to nearest land. And then there's the sharks.
I guess he doesn't have much of a choice. Do you think there'll be traps on the island, Captain?
Well, of course there be traps, you empty-headed sea urchin. The treasure was buried in the days when those wizard characters used to run things. 1,000 years ago, so it be told. The pirate captain to whom the treasure belonged was something of a magician himself. Who knows what deadly devices were conjured up? Well, don't just stand there. Go get him.
Aye, Captain.
A few hours later.
Take this parchment. It's got a lot of silly scribbling on it, but it gives you the best route through that jungle. Now get in there and find that treasure.
And try not to get killed.
Aye, it's a lot of trouble finding someone who won't be missed, and who's foolish enough to set foot on my ship.
You don't think it's a good idea to swim out of here with the pirates watching. You don't think it's... He's armed, you're not. You doubt he'd want to cut a rug with you. Though it would leave you stranded, you'd dearly love it to shove off without you. You've no wish to carry rocks around. You've no... He's armed. Where's the logic in climbing cliffs? You'd rather leave that where it is. You'd rather... It's too far, thank goodness. There isn't much on this beach that will help you. Best to press on. There isn't much... You gotta get out of this place. Your voice echoes back. That's a crude way to improve your elocution. If it weren't for present company, you might enjoy a few deep breaths and relax a bit. Chewing on leaves is better left for lesser animals, such as your pirate captors. You wouldn't want anyone on board to hear you. Small boats, small talk.
You heard that, Captain. Get moving. Unless you want a lump on your rump to match the one on your head instead.
It would seem this island has no shortage of vegetation. It would seem you are standing on the beach of this island. The sound of the waves would comfort you, were it not the only thing you've been listening to through the hull. You are standing. Small rocks litter the beach. A cliff rises further inland. It's the small rowboat which brought you here. The pirate ship sits like a bloated whale, waiting to swallow you again. The pirate looks more into skewering than humoring. The captain's first mate eyes you shiftily.
What are you looking at? Get going.
The captain's first mate.
The
pirate looks more.
You heard that, Captain. Get moving. You heard.
Quit your prattling. Get in there and find me that treasure.
Ahem.
I mean, find us that treasure, of course. Quit your prattling.
The old map you obtained from the pirate captain is worn and fragile. It may very well be centuries old. The shovel seems to be quite average, with an iron scoop and a long wooden handle. The chart maps out Treasure Island. There are plenty of other ways to dig your own grave. He doesn't need it. He doesn't. You can't. 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 There's no point in digging for treasure unless you know its exact location. You can't use. There's no point. There's no. He doesn't need it. He does. You can't.